Hello. Hi, Ange. You look good today. Okay. Ananya, hello. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Lewis. Hi, Jensen. Hello,
Miss,
Tammy. Hi, Hannah. Yeah, Nikki.
so basically, in my school today, right, I was doing my science lesson because we were covering on isotopes and basically the periodic table parts, right. They asked me how I know that how I know that the isotopes is this or that because they seem to be confused on isotopes, and then I just say because I attend a science tuition. Then after that, they were shocked, and then they say that you no need to even like because like some people in my class say that I'm smart, and then they even say that I can be in a better school than that, and then they also say about the
You
about
don't tell them you got tuition lah. You tell them that you know. You say, I just know law. Yeah.
because actually if I'm not wrong, right, tomorrow then you only cover that shell drawing,
Yeah.
and
Electron
how
shell.
I remember the worksheet that I did, right. Remember I got all correct because because some of the questions are familiar from the adaptive questions, and after that some more I also got like I've realized that in the portal the questions sometimes the open-ended they mark it as wrong when it's actually not wrong.
Mm, mm,
That's a feedback that I
correct.
would give to them. Should be partially correct, not
Yellow.
yeah.
Yellow. Correct. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Yeah, because you are learning ahead of your friends, right? And then I give you more hints and tips and notes compared to what is in the Set 1 syllabus. Okay, so of course you're going to be ahead of your friends. That is a definite, I know. Okay, so good things. If your teacher is trying to teach and you already know the concepts, you can, I told you what, you can impress your teachers one. Yeah, so that's why lor. Okay, Hannah just told me she doesn't have any more CCA until the end of the year exams are over. That's true. Correct. It's true. So all schools, because they are starting their exams this term, and many of the schools actually start the exam in week 3. So by right, okay, CCA should end 1 month. That means 4 weeks before the exam starts. Yeah. So if your school is starting the exam like in week 4, then of course, yeah, lor, because last week is counted as 1 week lah. So for these 3 weeks, no more CCA. Yeah. You have to do an exam lah. Definitely cannot get away with that. Okay. Right. So the rest of you, when you're ready, please turn on your video. Okay. So every week you all tell me the same thing, no? Eating lah, then we'll turn on later. Then never turn on one, After finish your food, still pretend that you don't know, I don't know. You want me to remind you, then I'll be busy explaining, I'll forget to remind you, right? So do turn on your video, okay, early. All right. So we have not finished question 11, 12, and 13 from last week. So let's continue. Do you still recall what we did last week? I know, Hannah, that's always the scary part. Like I told you all before, it's very easy to get A, but keeping the A is extremely difficult, right now. Along this is what you're fearing now, lor? Okay, yes, we did ions last week. So we have covered the electronic structure. We know that the electron shells determine the period inside the periodic table, right? And then we also know, okay, what kind of ions will actually lose electrons. What kind of atoms will lose electrons to form positive ions? What kind of atoms will gain electrons to form negative ions, right? So that is what we covered last week. Now, question 11 says there is an ion of element X. They are talking about ion already, no? Ion of element X. Okay, so element X has 11 protons. So we know, for example, if this is the element Q, the number of protons actually is the proton number, right on. So I put in the periodic table picture here. Okay, proton number is the number of proton. It says it is what? 11, right? So I can put 11 here. correct? And then, Hannah, no problem. I understand that. Then, the bottom number of this element in the periodic table is actually proton plus neutron. You all still recall? Yes, still recall. So number of protons and neutrons added together give you this number at the bottom, which is also known as the atomic mass or mass number. So this is 11 proton and 12 neutrons. So I will have the value 23. Can you all see that? Okay, so this is 23 here. You should be able to find this element already. Okay, I don't need to even point out to you. You should be able to find out the element yourself. Okay, with these values, 11 and 23. Now, they are telling you 11 protons, 12 neutrons, and 10 electrons, right? Yeah, so if you are looking at this particular ion, okay, this is the ion. Now, 11 protons give you 11 positive charges, okay? Neutrons always zero. Even if I have 1,000 neutrons, it's going to be zero charge. Then for the electrons, every one electron is -1. I have 10 here. This is -10. So overall charge will then be 11 minus 10. It is +1. Okay, so this is a positive ion. Okay, Hannah got locked up. She's back in. Okay, so this is a positive ion. Now, so which particle in this ion carries a positive charge? When they say particle inside the ion, right, you are talking about subatomic particles. And subatomic particles, there are only 3 types. Okay, so you have the protons, the electrons, and the neutrons. Which one carry positive charge? You must know it's actually protons. Okay. Next, neutral charge must be the neutrons. Okay, and then after that, we look at what? We look at the atomic mass of this ion. Okay, so remember, just now I did work out with you 11 and 23, right? See, atomic mass. Okay, so yes, this is 23. Can see that? You just need to add up the number of protons plus number of neutrons. Okay, so it's 11 plus 12. Then next, use a periodic table to identify element Q. Okay, so we have Q just now, 11 and 23. Are you able to identify this? Yes or no? Can find out. Hemi, tell me what is this particular element? Based on the values here, can you tell me what is this element? Look at the periodic table. Yan Hui is here. Periodic table so small, right? Do you have a copy of your own? Yeah. So look for something similar to this, okay? There's a 11 at the top, which is the proton number, and then 23 at the bottom, which is the atomic mass or mass number. What is this element? Yan Hui, we are doing last week's questions, because you just came in. We are finishing up last week's questions, last week's tutorial worksheet 34. Yes, correct. Okay, so this particular element is sodium. Now, let me ask you one thing. Can I write down Na for my answer? Yes or no? Can I write down Na instead of typing out sodium? Nikki says no. What about the rest of you? Jensen, what do you think? Cannot. What about Madhav? What do you think? Ananya as well? Try. And Hannah, what do you think? Yan Hui, Louise, Ange, you all are here, but I can't see your faces. Okay, Louise answered already. The rest? Yan Hui, what do you think? Can I write down Na as my answer? Okay, Hannah, the answer given is actually sodium spelled out. Okay, we are identifying element Q. Yes, it is actually sodium. So is it okay if I don't spell out sodium, I write down Na? So most of you say cannot. Okay, Madev, cannot. You also think cannot, Hannah, what do you think? Actually, yes. Yan Hui, you are right. You think can. Can. Louise say can. Correct, can. Why? Because they say identify. When they say identify, right, you are allowed to write down sodium in terms of the full name spelling or the symbol. Okay, but if they say name, use the periodic table to name element Q. Then name means it must be this. Identify, both, they are okay. So this is O-level standard. Nikki, can Nikki? So you understand this part now. Okay, now, hence write down the chemical symbol for this ion, including its charge. Just now we calculated, right? Okay, first slide I calculated for you. Go back to the first slide. So we calculated. So 11 protons, 10 electrons, 12 neutrons. So add up the overall charge. We have actually a +1. So now we know it's a positive ion and the element is sodium. So what will be this positive ion with its chemical symbol? So when you write this down, okay, you're supposed to write it this way. Okay. Try to keep the symbol. I know this looks like it is at the same level as A, right? But no, you have to write it at the top, even above N, slightly above. Okay. So this is how we write down the chemical symbol for the ion, including the charge. Any question? No question? I go on. Okay, so let's go to the next question, which is question 12. Study the diagram here. So when you study the diagram here, okay, there's a circle with a plus. That means it's protons. Okay, white circle, neutrons, and the black dots are the electrons, right? So Alex claimed that a negative ion is shown in the diagram. Do you think you can actually tell? Yes or no? Are you able to tell? A negative ion is shown here. So let's check. Okay, let's count the number of protons. How many protons are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 protons. So 8 protons here. Oh dear. And got kicked out again. Okay, so 8 protons. Now, how many neutrons are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 neutrons. They are both, or they are all found inside the nucleus. So let's count the number of electrons. Okay, 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell, 10 electrons. Okay, so 10 electrons. So Alex claimed a negative ion is shown. Correct, right? Yeah. So how do we know? Because we counted the number of electrons and the number of protons. Since there are more electrons than protons, okay, so therefore it is going to give us a negative ion. So from the protons, right, it gives a +8 charge. From the electrons, it's a -10. -10. Overall charge is -2. Okay, overall charge is -2. So yes, How do we explain? Say that, okay, there are 8 protons in the nucleus.